Good morning all. So far we have discussed about the components of a computer in a very short manner. We will discuss in detail about the four components in this module and in the coming modules. And we have to cover one more topic under this components of computers, or you can say the computer organization, that is about bus. This is the outline of the particular presentation. We will discuss about bus, especially system bus, and the system bus is divided into three, that are data bus, address bus, and control bus. We will discuss in detail. Initially, we will see what is a bus. It is a communication pathway connecting two or more devices. So, bus is used for communication between the components or devices of a computer. It is a shared transmission medium. That is, it is shared with many components, and any component can be used this particular bus. It consists of multiple communication lines. We will have different communication lines inside a bus. Each line can carry only one bit at a time. We can send only one bit through one line. That is, either we can send 1 or 0 through a line. The number of lines determines how many bits can be transferred at a time. For example, if we have 8 lines in a particular bus, we can send 8 bits at a time. That is the meaning of the number of lines determines how many bits. Buses can be internal to the CPU and it can be external to the CPU. The internal to the CPU means we want to communicate between the components of a CPU, that are ALU, registers, and CU, that is within the CPU. That bus we can call it as internal bus. Or if we want to communicate the major components, that are CPU, memory, and I/O devices, we can use the external bus. That external bus is usually referred as system bus. So, what is a system bus? A bus that connects major components of a computer, CPU, memory, and I/O, is called system bus. A system bus consists of 50 to 100 separate lines. These are the typical line length of a system bus. The number of lines is referred to as the width of the bus. That is, if we have 100 lines in a system bus, we can say the width of the bus is 100. Or if we have only 70 lines in a system bus, we can say the width of the bus is 70, like that. Now we will see the system bus is again divided into three, that are data bus, address bus, and control bus. You can see in figure the system bus is divided into three different categories which consists of separate lines for transferring data, for transferring address, and to transfer control signals. So you just see this figure. We will discuss each and every one in detail. So we will see what is a data bus. Data bus is responsible for moving data between the components of a system. So data bus provide a path for moving data between system components. It is a bidirectional bus. You can see in figure all the lines are represented as a bidirectional way. So that is what the meaning is, that we can flow data both ways over the same line. That's why it's called as bidirectional bus. The data bus typically consists of 8, 16, or 32 separate lines. The width of the bus is a key factor in determining the overall system performance. So the data bus the width or the number of lines in the data bus determines the overall system performance. If we have 8 lines only, the performance will be low, and if we can have 32 lines or more, we can say the performance will be high. Next one is the address bus. Address bus carries memory addresses from the processor to other components such as memory and input-output devices. So address bus carries the address, that is the location in a memory, or it can be used to represent a particular input-output device. So the address will be passed through this address lines. These are used to represent the source or destination of the data on the database. Meaning is that if we want to send something into the data bus from an input device, it should be know where it should be stored. The location of memory should be specified. That location will be specified by the CPU. Or if we want to read something from a memory, that memory address also should be passed through the address lines. And if we want to read or write something from an input-output device, the address of that particular device will be passed through the address bus. So it is a type of unidirectional bus. You can see in figure it is flowing from CPU, and it will be towards memory and input-output device. So it is a unidirectional one. Address is placed on address bus by CPU, and the devices like memory and I/O will check whether it is intended to particular component, and it will respond accordingly. For example, if the CPU wishes to read a word of any length, that can be 8-bit or 16-bit or 32 bits length of data from memory, it puts the address of the desired word on the address bus. So if we want to read something from memory, the CPU will put the address of the desired word on the address bus. The width of the address bus determines the maximum possible memory capacity of the system. So the width or the number of lines in an address bus is related with the capacity of the system. That is how much memory we can use for storing the data and instructions. It will determine by the width of the address bus. For example, 32-bit address lines allow 2 raised to 32, that is equal to 4 GB of memory. So if the system is having 4 GB of memory, we will have 32-bit address lines in that particular system bus. Next one is the control bus. It carries control signals from the processor to other components. So CPU will generate control signals towards the other components like memory and input-output devices. So it can be a unidirectional, but we are representing it as a bidirectional bus since the other components has to respond back to this control signals in terms of acknowledgement, or they want to respond back with some command signals. So it is represented as a bidirectional bus. It transmits both command and timing information between system components. The main control signals passing through the control bus are command signals as well as the timing information signal. The command signals specify operations to be performed. And the timing signals indicate the validity of the data. For example, the data bus can be used by a particular component for a fraction of seconds, or for a fraction of minute. So that can be decided by this control bus. So these are the major signals carried through control bus. Let's see some examples of control signals. If we want to write something into the memory, the control bus will send a control signal like memory write. And if we want to write something, the control bus will have a signal like memory read. Like that, IO write and IO read. And if we want to acknowledge something back to the CPU, the ACK signal will be sent through the control bus. Or if we have a clock signal that indicates the timing information from the CPU to the other components. And if the component wish to acquire the access to data bus, it should request the bus through bus request. And if the bus is available, the CPU will generate bus grant signal through this control bus. Or if we want to interrupt particular operation, we can send interrupt request. These are some examples of control signals. Usually these signals are generated from the control unit inside a CPU. That is the CPU is responsible for controlling every component's operations and the use of bus through this particular control signals. The bus we have discussed so far is a kind of unibus. If a large number of devices are connected to this bus, the performance will be affected. So we can avoid this by using multiple buses in a particular computer system. For example, the system bus can connect an IO controller and an IO and all the IO devices can be connected through this IO bus. So the system bus will be used exclusively to transfer between the memory and CPU. So the performance will not be affected. And if we want to connect through different IO devices, we can connect through a IO bus. This will be handled with the help of an IO controller. So the system bus can be connected to IO controller and the IO devices are connected through IO bus. This is another kind of representation that we can use. We can use multiple buses in a particular computer system. So these are all about the basic components of a computer. We have discussed about the various components of a computer and it can be also referred as computer organization. We have different components and the major working of these components are discussed so far, including the system bus. And we will move on to the details regarding the CPU organization and we will discuss the one more major topic under this particular module, that is about memory. So thank you all.